Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stars and Stripes Soccer. In today's episode, we're going to cover some more transfer news regarding some current and possible future U.S. men's national team players. Transfer window has not yet opened, but with the season over in Europe already, there's already going to be a lot of talks of trying to make those first day moves and possible moves throughout the window. So, if you don't follow me on Twitter, there was a young American player who has been playing in the Drita Liga. His name is Santiago Castañeda. He's an American Colombian player. This season, he was playing for Duisburg. Again, they're in the Drita Liga. He just signed with Zweite Bundesliga club Paderborn. Paderborn is historically a second tier team in Germany, but they're consistently in that league. They have been promoted a while back ago, but it's been some time now. But this season, he had 2 goals and 2 assists in 33 matches. He is still quite young. He's part of the 04 group. He's also a midfielder. And before he made the move to Duisburg, he was playing for Tampa Bay Rowdies. So those who are Rowdies fans probably remember him. Those who don't follow the Tampa Bay or even USL probably don't know about Santiago. But if you are able to watch Paderborn, take a close look at him. Probably doesn't really have much of a future of the U.S. men's national team, but he is an interesting player from those who have really focused a lot on him. But yeah, I just want to put that out real quick because that's like our first move, really, so far of an American player or at least an eligible player for the U.S. So in the previous episode, we talked about Rokas Pukstas, in his West Ham rumors and also with Arsenal and Aston Villa. There's more news apparently on his West Ham rumors. There's an account on X named Al Sean. He is saying that Split, the club of Pukstas, has give West Ham the go ahead to sign the young American. And they are demanding 10 million euros from any club who tries to go for this American prospect. It's also been reported that he has requested transfer from the club. So there is a very good chance that he'll be leaving this summer. And he needs to leave after 2 successful seasons in the Croatian league. He needs to take that jump, especially with the high potential that he could have. If, as I said in the previous episode, I still believe that he needs to try to take a loan to the Championship or Eredivisie. I wouldn't mind if he went to the Belgian league as well. But we'll have to see which club he goes to kind of determine if it is needed. But if he does go to a Premier League team, he does need to take that loan. I wouldn't have too much of an issue if he goes to mid or low table Bundesliga club, but he is coming from the Croatian league, which is not a top 10 league in Europe or even in the whole world. So there could be some risk in him doing that because he may look good just because the quality of the league that Croatia has. So I think it needs to be like a steady climb up. If he just kills it in the Championship or the Eredivisie or wherever he goes, then yes, a loan or even a permanent move to any top 5 league should be the go. But wherever he goes, either with the loan or without a loan, it would be pretty much important for him, and it will also give us an idea if he can even live up to the hype. Hopefully he does. I think he will. There's a lot of Europeans who are really high on him that know much about him. He's constantly on these lists for top 20 players in Europe, top 20 players in the world. He's always on these lists. So don't dish on Croatia just because the league isn't very good, because they do develop some great players. I mean, Mutric is obvious one, but you go Kovic and several others from that have come from that league and have done great things in top 5 leagues. So similar to our previous topic is Weston McKennie and his possible move to the Premier League as well. But he's being heavily linked to Aston Villa. And this has mostly been developed after McKennie had rejected the contract offer that Juventus has given him. And that pretty much is what sparked a lot of interest from the Premier League and particularly Aston Villa. Now, Douglas Lewis is with Aston Villa. And the current rumors and reports is that they're wanting to do a swap deal between Lewis and McKennie. And I would like for him to stay at Juventus because it is a better club than Aston Villa, a bigger club. But with them rejecting the salary increase that he deserves, and even the behavior of the fans. I know as a player you're not supposed to pay attention to what fans have said, but he deserves fans that respect him. I mean, he's not a terrible player like a lot of the Juventus fans in Turin or even all of Italy even will say. He and the good thing is though, Aston Villa will be in the UCL. So it's not like he would be losing out playing in a UCL club to go play in the Premier League. They did qualify for it. So if this was to go through, he would still be in it. But that's after being away from the tournament for a season, he needs to go back to the UCL because we obviously seen that he is capable of playing in the UCL. And Aston Villa is a very attractive club right now. I mean, they've done very well in the Premier League. And you also have Unai Emery as the manager, and Emery is a big fan of McKennie. And that's what he needs. He needs a manager that can trust him and put him in the best position. Allegri, yes, he did like McKennie a lot. He was part of the reason why McKennie never left. But he did put him out of position quite a bit. And yes, him playing at right wing back did do well, but he's a center. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He needs to play as a box-to-box midfielder. Maybe Emery can give him that opportunity. Another reason why he needs to move away from Juventus is not just because of not wanting to give him that salary increase that he deserves. And also because of the behavior of the fans is also because Allegri has been sacked and is being looked like they will be bringing in Mata, and who knows what will happen to McKennie if he was to stay, even with how he did this season, if he will even maintain that starting role underneath Mata. But Juventus has a lot of Italian players. You're talking about bringing in an Italian manager based on their track record. Italians prefer the Italian players. And Moretti and Locatelli and all of them may be placed ahead of McKennie. But that is also part of concern with Tim Weah staying there. But still nothing with him. I know Everton has talked about wanting to acquire him on loan, and I think it was recently reported that they want him permanently, but there hasn't really been anything. And if there anything has developed on Tim Way, I'll discuss that on a different episode. But there is some fear in McKennie returning to the EPL because of what happened to Leeds. No one wants that to happen again. That is the greatest fear with that. But um, with how he performed this season, this has been his best season with Juventus. And despite what a lot of fans in Turin would say, he did well. But this has been his best. He's only really had one mediocre season with Juventus, in my opinion. But if he was to go back to the Premier League, continue this form, it would really put a lot of doubt that people have had for him ever since his time with Leeds. It would really put down the haters just to pretty much shut up and admit that he is a good player. And maybe you won't constantly be seeing people calling him fat, which he's shown that he's not this season. He never really was. He was just more of a stocky person. As has been reported earlier this season, is he just changed his diet and his training routines in the summers to give him a different type of body. But enough on that for right now until there's some more development regarding McKennie to Weston McKennie. Is we have currently the U19 U20 camp going on. Christian Fletcher, who was on the roster, sadly got an injury. And US Soccer decided to call in CJ Only Jr. to replace him. Very smart decision and a well-deserved call-up that has been long overdue. I'm actually quite excited about seeing what CJ Only could do. As I mentioned in a previous episode regarding the rosters, I believe CJ should have been in there from the very beginning. I don't know why it took an injury for them to do it, but it is what it is. At least they finally admitted that he should be in camp. But as what he's done at Philly 2 right now, he's been one of their best players this season. And with just 9 games into the season, here he has 3 goals and 6 assists. And one of those goals was an absolute banner. And I know a lot of Philly fans who, especially focus on Philly 2, are really high on him right now. Along with Vasquez and obviously Kevin Sullivan. And I know some have said that he should have been at the U17 World Cup last year, based on his numbers from last season as well. And having a good season with Philly 2 last year, he should have, but I can understand why he wasn't on the roster, because he had not been with the group. But same thing with Matthew Cochran. He was not with the group, and they still call him up. So, who knows with that? Only U.S. Soccer knows why they made that decision. But hopefully he does very well in this camp. I think he will do well, and hopefully he can make the argument to U.S. Soccer that he needs to be at the U20 championship that would be in Mexico. Moving on to a previous U20 player, now U23 player, Paxten Aaronson. It's been reported that he would be going on loan once again. I think this is a good decision because things didn't go exactly as planned at Eintracht Frankfurt at the beginning of last season. That's the reason why they sent him on loan to the Eredivisie with Vitesse. There hasn't been reports so far on what team or league they're looking at, but I do think that he needs to go back to the Eredivisie. He proved that he can handle it. I would like to see him do a full season in the Eredivisie, but not with a bottom table club who is at risk of relegation. He needs to be with a top 5 club. I think I wouldn't mind if it being Utrecht, where he could be with Taylor Booth if Taylor Booth decides to stay. But like PSV or Feyenoord or even Go Ahead Eagles, someone that is actually competitive in the Eredivisie, or like AC would be a good one too. But if it doesn't happen to be the Eredivisie, I think he needs to go to the French Liga 1. And reason why I say that is a very physical league, and that's the one trait that he needs to learn how to do well in is physicality. He lacks a lot of muscle in being physical, which is the same issues that Paxten Aaronson has, his older brother. Um, I I honestly think he's already ahead of Brandon. It's already kind of been shown that he is more technical. He does really need to work on the muscles and dealing with the physicality of the game, but he is already a little bit better from times I've watched him compared to Brandon on the physicality part of it. But I can't stress enough that if anyone has followed me on Twitter/X, I've always complained about the fact that Brandon is not physical. He needs to get muscle. Even the Union Berlin manager even said that he needs to hit the gym. It is a little bit too late, in my opinion, that for Brandon to gain those muscles, because obviously he doesn't care, even though the manager called him out on the press conference that he needs to. But it's not too late for Paxten. Going to a league like the French league, where it is physical, it can force him to probably become more physical and work on those. For attacking mids, he does have a potential to make that push for 2026, 2030. I think he has a better chance at it than Brandon does. But when you look at some of the others in attacking mid around his age, it will be tough. He's only a year younger than Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman, but they've already shown that they're more technical and more physical, and they can handle the physical game and have a higher IQ about the game. And Gio has shown that he could play in the Bundesliga. Malik Tillman, yeah, he didn't really get the chance while he was at Bayern, but I think he could do it depending on the club. He has shown that he's more than capable of doing it in the Eredivisie. But along with players who are around his age, are Brian Gutierrez and Pukstas. And those players can easily pass him. I mean, it depends on if Gutierrez decides to stay with the U.S. But even then, this is a very competitive position for the U.S. And like I say, Paxten has the potential to be one of our top attacking mids. But if some of these guys who are only a year younger than him or 2 years younger than him, who can show that they are better than him in those two traits that he lacks in. I mean, he showed that he is a technical player, but he still has a lot to work on the technical ability of the game. Instead of relying a lot on his pace like Brandon does. He can easily fall down the depth chart or the attacking mid. He's already had some guys around his age, obviously, because he's been in the U.S. camp. But as I say, he can easily fall. He can easily miss the 2026-2030 World Cup with how competitive it is and how some others in that position are more than capable. Yes, I know a lot of people think that he should play on the wing. There's like his brother, who I think is more of an attacking mid and a wing player. But even then, is not as competitive on the wing for the U.S., but compared to some of the other players that are in those positions already, it will be tough. But if he can go to a league that can help him become more physical and continue to develop his technical abilities, he can be in that conversation. I mean, I imagine he already is, but I think a lot of that has to do with the hype and also who his brother is. But which I think is a problem with U.S. soccer. But I digress. I want to talk about the final player that we have in the transfer rumors, and that is Richard Ledezma. I know a lot of people don't talk about Richard Ledezma anymore because he's way outside the conversation for the U.S., rightfully so. But there has been a lot of talks about potential moves right now. He's one of those that have been in the rumor mills regarding U.S. soccer players. But also, I mean, he was highly rated at one point. I just kind of feel like it'd be a little fun to talk about Ledezma. But anyways, CBI Soccer is reporting that he's on LAFC, Portland, and Salt Lake's radar. I think he needs to make a return to the MLS because he's obviously not a top 10 European League type player. He obviously can't do it. Maybe he can go play in Croatia or Switzerland or Norway, but that no, I think he just needs to return to the MLS. Probably come back to the States and fix his game. But even then, when he returned to New York City FC, he only had 4 assists during his time there, and even then, it wasn't really that great. It was pretty average, really. But the thing is too, he returned from injury when PSV had their second leg against Dortmund around 16. He went the entire season with a whopping 5 minutes, and that came from the final match. The match that was a throwaway game where they could easily have given him some decent minutes just to give him some legitimacy, even though they had already won the Eredivisie. But 5 minutes, I mean, that kind of tells you that they're not concerned with his development whatsoever. But at the same time, it's kind of surprising that they even put him on the bench. But hey, he gets to say that he won the Eredivisie title. Funny enough. But I am at the same time though, I don't even know if he even is good enough for the MLS at this point. I mean, really, he's probably more of a squad player, if anything. Which that's quite a bit of a downfall from where he was projected to be. I think there should be the option of USL, and maybe he can actually probably do a lot better in USL, probably shine in USL better than he would in MLS. And I mean, it's not like I'm saying that he should stay. If he goes to USL, stay there. I mean, he can probably be there for like only one season if he shows that he can kill it there. That he can go to MLS team, and hopefully he can transition to form. I mean, Kobe Hernandez Foster did that. He's with Birmingham after making a return from Europe when he was at Norway. Maybe Ledezma needs to do the same thing. Take that extra step down, 2 steps back, and go to the USL. Gain that confidence, show American soccer what he can do, and then make that eventual move back to the MLS. But yeah, that pretty much is the rumors or even reports of upcoming moves for American players. I do want to throw out that Donovan Pines, if people don't know, he got injured very early in his time with Barnsley. He only played like 4 matches because he had to get surgery after an injury. But if those who didn't see the reports a while back ago, he will be back for Barnsley's preseason. Even though he's way off the conversation of U.S. soccer, the U.S. men's national team, whatever, those 4 matches he was doing well for Barnsley. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what he does in the preseason and have a full season with Barnsley. Maybe he can help him get promoted back into the championship. But that concludes our episode for today. I also have submitted an article to Chasing a Cup regarding my top 10 American players in Europe. When that officially gets published on their website, I will mention it in the episode. And I will also cover an episode going over those 10 players and pretty much providing the same information I would in the article. But I do encourage you to read the article as well. But I will give a little bit different information to make sure that it doesn't overlap each other too much. But I would like to talk about my top 10 players with the season being over. But see you all next time.